This week's edition of Inside Gateway, your weekly live look behind the curtain, and we are back live this week in Illinois. This is the third Wednesday of the month. So we are again at the Illinois Adoption Agency. We have Lucy behind the camera this week, and we have Michelle with us in person. So thank you for being with us. If you have any questions, you can type them in, and Lucy will read them to us. So we look forward to getting to know a little bit more about Michelle here. So just for starters, Michelle, why don't you just kind of take us through the journey you went on to come to Gateway, to come aboard here in Illinois, and how God worked in your life to get here. A bit like an apostolic testimony. Start as far back as you would like.
Well, yeah, so I'll try to make that quick. But so I have a degree in social work. I have always had a heart for just the hurting, the lost, the kids and orphans and people struggling. And so I got my degree in social work at the University of Illinois, and then I went to work for 3 years, and then I had my kids, and so after I had my daughter, I was just feeling like God had something else for me, that I had this role as a wife and a role as a mother, and that he still wanted more, though. Mm-hmm. And I was just struggling how to balance, like, I wanted to be a part of the church and part of my church, and I wanted to be able to use my talents, and I was just trying to figure out what my talents were, and where God wanted me to be used, and how to share the gospel. And when you're home with kids, you know, there aren't too many opportunities outside of the home to share the gospel, and I just really felt like God was asking me to step out more. And so I was just in this, you know, time of prayer, trying to figure out how to balance all of my roles, how to be a part of the church, how to be a part of the body of Christ, how to share the gospel, how to be used. And I remember one morning specifically, I was just really feeling burdened, really praying hard, and that afternoon the kids both went down for a nap at the same time, and Lucy called. And she said, "We have this opening, and would you be interested?" And it was just like every puzzle piece fell into place. Like, here was the opportunity to have a few hours outside of the home. Here was the opportunity to share the gospel with people that I probably wouldn't have contact with if I wasn't working here. Here was the opportunity to use my talents and my gifts for the body of Christ. So there's the story.
Yeah. Does that fit well kind of with your family schedule? Do you feel like it's been a good fit? And
yeah, I mean, it has its challenges with kids, but it's really nice to have a few hours outside the home, be able to, and I can work at home too if I need to, and it's worked great.
Good. Yeah, it's interesting when you say Lucy called you, because I think every story I've heard of someone coming to Gateway, almost 100% of the ones that I've heard, and even our own story from Andy and I, somebody has asked somebody else and been kind of a vehicle for God to call them. And so this is a shameless plug. We still need house parents, and I am asking you, if you feel a heart for missions, or like Michelle said, you know, want to do something more, feel like you could do something more, just explore it and talk to people who have been there. It's a great resource to get involved. So before you started your family, where were you working at?
So I was at the Children's Home Association of Illinois, in Peoria. I was a caseworker for teenagers, ages 17 and a half to when they turn 21. So similar to kind of what I think Lark is starting up. But I worked with their transitional living program and their independent living program.
Okay.
And helped them just navigate into adulthood.
Okay. Great. That's great. So since then you've had your family and now you've come here. How does this differ from that? What are some of the roles that you tackle here?
It's quite different. But here I'm working more with families who are, the ones who are looking into adoption, where there I was working more with kids.
Right.
But yeah, I go into families' homes and do their home studies and train them, and I feel like I'm still learning my role too, but Lucy occasionally gives me busy work. Like today I was calling some OB offices to just see if they wanted brochures on adoption.
Okay. So within that capacity of doing like home studies and meeting these people, do you have any stories that, I mean, how long have you been here, first of all?
I've been here 6 months. But
6 months, okay.
I feel like it's been 6 months of training and learning.
Yeah, drinking from the fire hose type thing, or?
Sure.
So do you have any stories, I mean, just in that short 6 months, maybe there's not, but just how you had this desire to come and to share the gospel, and you felt like God was calling you something more. Do you feel like even the short amount of time you've seen God work in that capacity, where sure there's busy work and there's things you're doing to get people ready, but have you seen anything like that?
I mean, not particularly, but I mean, yeah, because I do feel like I'm still learning, and up until recently I was more shadowing than anything, but I do feel like I'm not a very good conversationalist by nature, so for the few training sessions or home studies that we've done, I do feel like God has been there to help me talk more and be more comfortable with that than I normally would be.
Yeah.
So I think that's just an encouragement.
Yeah, I think it's amazing how God gets us out of our comfort zones. Like you say, you're not a conversationalist, and people who know me now, like 10 years ago before we went to Gateway, I'm an introvert by nature, and this would be off my to-do list. Like I would have said no to this, and like giving presentations and stuff, but God put us in a position where He just grew me in this area. And like still, when I get back from a presentation, I want to sit alone in my house and like recuperate, but He's so good to give us those tools and equip us. So you've only been here 6 months, but as you look at this and you see, your kids are going to grow up, and is this a desire for you to continue on and to maybe expand your role here and get more involved, or?
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of a dreamer, so I would love to, just continue to do more, and I mean, obviously with kids, more hours necessarily I can't just throw my entire life into it because I have those other other obligations, but no, I would love to see more birth moms coming and just working more in the community in that area, and just being able to share the hope of Christ and just be a part of adoptions. All of that.
Yeah, great. I had a question. So your degree is in social work,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
So coming out of high school, I typically don't see that a whole lot. So what pushed you in that direction?
Well, to be honest, no, I am much more science and math minded. I was planning to actually go into forensics.
Okay.
But somebody just said to me, I think that you should try social work. And I prayed about it, and I felt like that's where God was leading me. So that was like in my senior year of high school, and so I just pursued it and fell in love with it. And I'm a rather passionate person, so pretty much anytime there's a hurting person and somebody's in need, I'm just like, I want to do something about it. So it was a great fit, and
Okay, so you've never looked back and
no.
thought, I wish I was combing through crime scenes. And
Well, I enjoy it when the crazy world gets to meet my caseworking. So.
Yeah. So you're busy here. We know you have a family, and you're here doing home studies and things like that. What else is there to Michelle? What keeps you busy? What are your other than crime scenes and things like that?
I mean, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I spend a lot of my time just dealing with I have a 2.5-year-old son and then a 9-month-old daughter, and they keep me very busy. So I don't really do much else. I mean, other than church and family, just spend my days trying to catch up with my 2-year-old who is very busy, and
Yeah.
my 9-month-old who is learning to walk already, and she's into everything. So I feel like I don't get much time, but yeah.
Okay. Who gets them while you're at work?
My mom. Right
Okay.
now, yeah.
So they get some grandma time.
Yes.
Okay. Are you planning on coming out for the auction this year?
I am.
All right, great. That is a reminder
Yes.
that the auction is coming up the first Saturday in August. I believe August 4th is the date. So we look forward to seeing everybody at the biggest apostolic reunion there is known to man on the planet. So come on out. We look forward to having you there. Also, as I'm talking to Michelle, I remember that there is a scholarship for people going into social work in college. So if you are in social work and you're looking for some scholarship opportunities, get in touch with us at Gateway and we can go down that road with you and look at that. So Michelle, is there anything else that you would like to share about yourself? I know you are super excited to be here today and not nervous at all, but you've done wonderful. So
I can't think of anything.
okay. Well, we appreciate you. I know you've only been around 6 months, you say that, but we appreciate the impact you've had, and we love having you on board, and we thank you for the work that you're doing and your desire to serve God in this capacity and to answer that call. It is, once you get into the mission field, it just feels like it gets into your blood, and you wish everybody would do it. So I'm thankful that you have answered the call, and we appreciate you very much. So.
Well, thanks.
All right, so that is our interview for this week, and next week John will be back, and we will have to next month get outside the Illinois Adoption Program because we've tackled the crew here. So we look forward to seeing you next month.